Phil Simms, CBS sports analyst, former Giants QB. Phil, where do you want to start?
Well, a couple things, Dan. One, I didn't call you and say I wanted to weigh in on the topics. You guys called me, so I just want to get that straight.
Fritzy said you called in, so you're calling Fritzy a liar?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, now what else?
That's it. Just throw your man under the bus. I love that. And I just want it to be known that I am jacked and ripped.
Could you take Skip Bayless?
Wondering.
Could you take Skip Bayless?
I'm not talking about taking anybody. You know.
Well, wait. You just brought up your
ripped.
ripped.
Me and I cry like a, So she goes, "It's amazing you used to play in the NFL." And I go, "Well, that's times have changed."
Well, when's the last time you got in a fight?
High school.
And?
I'm not going to talk about it. Because whoever I got in a fight with, I respect him. I look back on it, and to this day, things like that happen in my life, it still bothers me. So there you go. I wish I wouldn't have done it.
You never got in a fight with any of your teammates when you were playing in the NFL?
No.
Did you come close?
No. I don't think I ever did. No. Gosh, no. Let's be honest. When I got to the NFL, who was I going to fight and beat up? Maybe the kickers? That was in doubt. So, come on, look at these guys. You see them. There's no way. And, too, just my last little impression. I'm watching the show today. I have to admit I enjoy it. You're getting me dizzy. I think I'm watching TMZ. This camera flies everywhere. You guys are so hip. And what is it with this working man shirt you got on? You're like an everyday guy. Is that what you're trying to portray?
It's sort of, drive a Ram truck. I'm every man. Like, I didn't go big time, Big Apple.
You're just that. See, be yourself. Quit trying. It's just.
I am myself.
You driving a Ram truck? That's pretty funny stuff.
I do.
Oh yeah, right. You do. What? You sit in the back and somebody chauffeurs you in it.
No, Phil.
Come on,
Phil.
man.
I drive a Ram truck. I am as blue collar as you'll find.
And let me get this other thing straight too. Just don't hold back. The time getting some work done. It's coming. So just admit it. It's going to happen.
Yeah, but I look at what it did to you, and I don't want my face to look like that, Phil.
Hey, all I want. You know what I really want? It's my butt. It's falling. I gotta get one of those butt lifts.
I'll talk to Kim Kardashian for you. All right, answer my questions here now. Okay, Saints deserve this.
In the way the league is going right now, yes. I'm going to say I'm not surprised. Well, I am a little surprised by the severity, but the league, the hits, protecting players, everything, the environment that's been created in the last, I lose track of time, 3 or 4 years, but really the last 2 years, yes, this was going to be, now I'm starting to sit back and go, I understand why it's severe. And here's another reason a lot of people are not talking about it. It's management. It's coaches, whatever. The players are all sitting back going, well, you're crushing us for everything we do, giving us exorbitant fines. What are you going to do to them? And I think Roger Goodell, with the environment, he answered that question to the players. He punished them severely.
He's Phil Simms, CBS Sports, who called to weigh in on some of the topics here on the Dan Patrick Show. Tell me why Tebow works for the Jets.
Well, because the Jets love to play Rex Ryan, a lot like John Fox. I used to say during the games in Denver, I even said it on the air a couple of times, John Fox has got this thing the way exactly how he wants it. If they could just throw it less, if they could get those passes attempts per game under 5, it'll be heaven. And, I even said it to him, and he'd laugh, because there is a little bit of truth to it, and that's what he believes in. Rex Ryan, look, you are what you are. And last year I said many times, the Jets, I agreed, open up the offense. Then I watched it and went, well, that's not who he is. How can he coach this? And the mentality and the culture, all those things you talk about, the environment of the team, it did not match. So I think you're right. I've heard a lot of people say it's going to be, you can say one thing, but the Tim Tebow machine, whatever you want to call it, it is extremely strong. His will is very strong. And if it's successful for 4 or 5 plays a game, let's just say that, which we know it's going to be more, then it just slowly goes into more and more. And the fans will jump on, everybody, the media, and it'll be hard for Mark Sanchez to hold this off.
Do you think Tim Tebow is eventually the starter with the Jets?
Well, I'm not going to jump out there and just make that statement yet.
You're close to.
Mark Sanchez is talented. Let's put it this way: if Tim Tebow would have led the Jets to 4 playoff road victories and 2 straight AFC Championship games, how would we perceive that?
He'd be in the Hall of Fame. Yeah, we'd have him in the Hall of Fame.
No question. Mark Sanchez did it. Well, he's got to get his completion percentage up and his touchdown to interceptions and all this other minutia, this crap that I hear constantly from everybody. It's awful. And so perception is a big deal. And I love it when people, Warren and I said this once on Showtime. Perception is reality. And I said, no, it's not. That's because people let it become that. That's why we have a job. We are supposed to have changed that. Perception is not reality. The truth is. So we'll see. But the thing about Mark Sanchez, I think you have to look at it too. How does he approach it? Here's how I would think about it. And it's easy for me to say as I'm an older man now. But he's had success. He has very good skill. He's got guaranteed money. He doesn't have to sit back there and be a wallflower, that's for sure. And with that guaranteed money you have as a player, it empowers you a little, Dan. It's not like the old days. And that can, it'll be interesting if he decides to go that way. Sometimes you got to stand your ground and be a little rebellious. And we'll see how Mark Sanchez handles the whole thing.
Yeah, but Tebow is not there to hold a clipboard and be involved in 3 or 4 plays.
Well, I did hear you say, I thought you said it, and you were right. Yes, he has all the Charlie Casserly great line. He's writing a book on how to say the right things and all that. That was pretty funny. But if you even listen to his first words, well, I'm excited about competing with Mark and. Yeah, it's the right thing to say, but the tone is there. And look, he's a strong-willed kid. There's no doubt about it. He's physically strong, mentally strong. And if most quarterbacks, performed and did some of the numbers, they would really be beaten on. But we overlook it because, well, here comes the drive. And and it worked for him most of the time in Denver last year. So there's a background, there's a history. And, once he gets here, it'll be interesting to see how the Jet fans and how long this thing takes before it becomes a problem for the Jets.
All right,
Maybe it won't be a problem. Hey, listen, let's don't forget this. It could work 2 ways. Sanchez plays really well, they still win. Or if it did happen to turn, then they play well under Tebow and they win. So it doesn't always look at it like it's going to be a problem.
Yeah, but I said over under 3 games before you hear the crowd chanting that they want Tebow, and I took the under.
You took yeah.
Oh yeah, hell yes, I'll take the under.
Yeah,
on that.
I know. It's. I'd say this: call Kyle Orton on the phone, see what he has to say about it. As he walks out to practice every day, and it's like he is not even part of it. I think I'm going to say the 4th game of the year of Denver up in Green Bay last year. Kyle Orton actually made a lot of good plays, but he did make 1 or 2 that were big ones too. But, the Green Bay scored like 50, so it didn't matter. But I could honestly tell, and we talked about it late in the game, that the pressure, the public pressure, just getting constantly berated was already wearing Kyle Orton out. So it was just a matter of time, and it happened a week later.
Yes or no to this final question. Did you ever see or hear bounties in the New York Giants locker room?
No.
Okay.
I did not hear bounties. All the stuff I hear, I don't know quite the story with Jimmy Johnson and all that. I haven't paid him a lot of attention to it. Look, I know Buddy Ryan used to say things and, got to get this guy out of the game and this guy out. I don't think they ever put bounties on it. And I remember once somebody told me he said that about you, and I went, really? I was honored. Buddy said that about me? Wow. He thinks could he tell Coach Parcells that I'm pretty good?
Yeah, but the bounty was only for about $50.
Well, hey, listen, whatever. Has there ever been a bounty on you?
Yeah, by some ex-girlfriends.
Yeah, you're giving yourself way too much credit there, my man. That's just not true.
Why don't you take care of your little Paris Hilton puppy there behind you? So
don't. Hey, listen.
No, you got one of those.
Call me back. I thought it was interesting. Real quick.
Oh God.
The Robert Griffin III, the workout yesterday, all that talk. I thought that was interesting. I know Tony Dungy said it. it would be. I'd love to hear if you could really get a group of people around the NFL. They, of course, will have to go off the record. What they really think about it, and who would they take if they had the first pick of the draft. I think it's going to be a big debate as time goes on, and it's hard for Dan. Remember, it's hard for everybody to back off of what they said.
I
the
think
greatest prospect.
I know.
Yes.
I know. All right. You know what? We'll talk again soon. Call me when you want to weigh in on something again.
Okay, yeah. I won't be calling you about fashion tips, that's for sure.
No.
That's a good shirt. You keep wearing that.
All right. Stay out of the sun.
Bud.
Stay out of the sun. Thank you.
I will.
All right. That's Phil Simms.